All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're taking a deep dive into feudal Japan.
Sounds exciting.
It is, but we're not charging into samurai battles or anything like that. We're going into the forge to see how katanas were made.
Ah, the heart of the samurai's power.
Exactly. And our guide for this journey, a board game called Shogun No Katana.
A board game? That's a unique way to explore this.
You'd be surprised. This game's rulebook is packed with historical details and thematic stuff. It's like a secret history lesson tucked inside a game.
So we get to learn about history and game strategy at the same time.
Yep. All without even needing to play. We're unlocking the secrets of katana creation.
I'm intrigued already. Where do we even start?
Well, close your eyes and imagine. You're a master swordsmith in feudal Japan.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You're not just swinging a hammer, you know? You're managing workers, gathering resources, you're crafting katanas for powerful lords. It's a whole business.
I can see that. What kind of resources we're talking about?
Wood, steel, obviously, but also things like stingray leather and lacquer. Essential stuff back then.
Stingray leather, that's pretty exotic.
Right. It all adds up to make these incredibly valuable swords.
So there's a resource management aspect to this. How does the game handle that?
It uses this cool mechanic called the forge board. Imagine your swords in progress. They're moving along this board as you add resources, step by step.
Like they're being forged in real time.
Exactly. And each material has its own value, so you're not just making any old sword.
You're building up a collection of increasingly valuable pieces.
Exactly. It's about strategy, you know, not just swinging a sword around.
So it's more than just combat. It's about craftsmanship and planning.
Right. But you mentioned stingray leather and lacquer before. That sounds fancy.
Ah, good point. A katana wasn't just a weapon, it was a work of art, too.
So we're not just talking about sharp blades, we're talking about beauty and craftsmanship.
Exactly. And that's where the academy comes in. This is where you train decorators.
Decorating.
Yeah. They embellish the swords with carvings, engravings, all sorts of adornments.
Like jewelry for swords.
Kinda. And even paint. Imagine presenting a beautifully decorated katana to a powerful lord. The prestige that would come with that.
I bet. So there's a whole art form on top of the raw materials. I'm guessing that adds to the value, right?
Oh, absolutely. Lacquer's the most valuable, then stingray leather, steel, and then wood. It's a hierarchy.
I can picture these ornate blades gleaming under the forged light.
Exactly. It's a blend of function and beauty, you know?
Yeah.
But all this leads to one special goal.
You mean the legendary Shogun No Katana.
You got it. The pinnacle of any swordsmith's career.
Now, I'm guessing this isn't something you just whip up in an afternoon. What makes it so special?
Well, it's a unique sword, tailor-made for the shogun himself.
Ah, so you're catering to the top dog's tastes. High stakes.
The game represents this with a space called the Project for the Shogun on the board.
Okay, so it's like your own personal workshop where you put it all together.
Exactly. And you have to be strategic about the resources you use because once it's in play, that's it.
No do-overs. Wow, that's intense. So where does all this happen? Is it just some generic workshop?
Actually, no. This is where the game really brings feudal Japan to life.
Oh, tell me more.
The game board, IS Feudal Japan. You've got the temple, the market, even the shogun's palace.
So it's like you're traveling the land as you play.
In a way, yes. You take actions by placing your workers in different locations. Or you can use special monks for even more powerful actions.
So I could send a worker to the market to get resources, or maybe take a gamble on a market card.
Exactly. Or to the shogun's palace, hoping to curry favor with him.
It sounds like a bustling marketplace where everyone's trying to get ahead.
It is. And here's a cool detail. Even when you're focusing on your own actions, you're still contributing to the overall game. When someone activates the shogun's palace, for example, other players get a small benefit too. It's all interconnected.
So the shogun isn't just some figurehead. He's a key part of the game's ecosystem.
Right. It adds a layer of depth and realism. But let's talk about those market cards you mentioned.
Yeah, they sound like they could really mix things up.
Oh, they do. The market is all about opportunity and risk. You can buy resources there, but you also pick a market card, which could offer all sorts of benefits.
What kind of benefits?
Some let you manipulate resources, others grant special actions, some even give in-game scoring bonuses.
Ooh, endgame bonuses. So you have to think long-term, not just for the immediate gain.
Exactly. Strategy is key.
So these cards add a whole other layer of intrigue. Tell me more.
Okay, let's say you desperately need some resources to finish a crucial steel sword. There might be a card that gives you exactly what you need. Or maybe a card that doubles the benefits of a row. Imagine that if you've been strategically placing permanent benefits on your forge board.
Wait, permanent benefits. So there are cards that have lasting effects.
You got it. They're like upgrades to your workshop, making you more efficient.
Okay, now it's getting really interesting. You're not just reacting, you're building up your capabilities for the long haul.
Precisely. It's like investing in your future as a master swordsmith.
I love that. But hold on, we were talking about two kinds of cards, right? Market cards and Daimyo cards.
Ah, you're right. We can't forget about the Daimyo cards.
What are those all about?
Well, they're tied to the different daimyos on the board, those powerful lords.
Ah, so it's about building relationships with the big players.
Exactly. And they offer some very unique benefits.
Like what?
Special abilities, bonus resources, even ways to influence other players.
Whoa, so you have to play your cards right to keep these daimyos happy, but also advance your own goals.
It's a balancing act. It reminds me of how important social connections were in feudal Japan.
But amidst all this wheeling and dealing, what about those monks? Those special workers that give you an extra edge?
Ah, yes, the monks. They're your ace in the hole. Each round you can choose to use them instead of your regular workers.
So it's like calling in the big guns. What can they do?
They give you enhanced actions. Maybe you gather extra resources, move a sword further on the forge board, or even pull off some other clever maneuver.
They sound pretty powerful, but I'm guessing there's a catch, right? Nothing in life is free.
You're right. Using a monk requires an offering to the temple. It's a cost that goes up as the game goes on.
So you have to weigh the benefits of a powerful action now against the potential cost later.
Exactly. It's about strategy and resource management. You can't just go all out without thinking ahead.
So even with these monks, you need a plan. Back to that legendary Shogun No Katana, how do you actually make it?
It's a process, a journey, really. Each time you finish a regular sword, you can dedicate some of its resources to the Shogun No Katana project.
So it's like a long-term investment?
Precisely.
Yeah.
And you have to choose carefully, because once it's in play, you can't change it.
So it's a big decision. Do I use this steel now or save it for the Shogun later?
Tough choices. Every decision matters. But what if you make a mistake?
Oh, that's a good point. What if you need to adjust your Shogun no Katana project? Is that even possible?
You can modify it, but there's a price. You lose points for every resource you add or remove.
So you can't just change things on a whim. It really raises the stakes.
Absolutely. Precision and planning are paramount. But let's talk about the end game.
Okay, so it can't LL be about the Shogun no Katana, right? What else factors into the final score?
Well, you get points for leftover coins and resources. It's like a measure of your efficiency.
Makes sense. You don't want to be wasteful.
And then there are the Sashimono tiles you collect from completed swords. Those add to your score too.
So variety matters. It's not just about making one type of sword.
Exactly. And don't forget about the honor cards. Those can give you big endgame bonuses if you have the right ones.
So you've got craftsmanship, resource management, and even a bit of luck with the cards. A true test.
Absolutely. But let's be honest, getting that Shogun no Katana right is a big part of winning, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Go
It's
ahead.
like the ultimate goal.
The player who delivers the most valuable Shogun no Katana gets a huge bonus.
So the stakes are high.
They are. Shogun no Katana is more than just a game. It's a journey.
We've got resource management, crafting, worker placement, card play. It's all there.
It all comes together to create this immersive experience.
I'm loving this deep dive. But is it purely about gameplay? Or does it offer something beyond that?
What's really cool is how it blends those mechanics with the historical context of katana forging.
Ah, so it's educational too.
Exactly. It's not just about having fun, it's about learning something new.
I love games that do that. You mentioned something earlier about the rule book hinting at a deeper historical context. What did you mean by that?
Well, it actually mentions a separate handbook that goes even deeper into the history of katana making.
Wow, so they really went all out. It's like a game A&D, a history lesson in one.
Yeah, the designers wanted to spark that curiosity, you know?
I love that. It's like a portal to a whole other world.
Exactly. And speaking of history, the rulebook also pointed out something interesting.
What's...
It seems that paying for swords in advance wasn't really a thing in feudal Japan.
Oh, but in the game, you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, it streamlines things for gameplay purposes. But in reality, swordsmiths often had patrons.
So like powerful lords who would commission specific blades?
Exactly. It was all about trust and reputation, not upfront payments.
That makes you realize how the game, while super detailed, is still a simplified version of history.
Right. It's a reminder that there's always more to learn.
Always. Okay, so imagine you're a master swordsmith in feudal Japan.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
What kind of katana would you create for the Shogun, and what resources would you use?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think I'd go for a balance of strength and elegance.
I like it. What materials would you use?
Steel, obviously, for a strong blade. But I'd also use Stingray leather for the grip.
Stingray leather. Interesting choice. Why that?
It's surprisingly strong, and it has this unique texture that would make it comfortable to hold.
So it's practical A&D stylish. What about decoration? Would you go all out with the lacquer?
Maybe not. I think I'd keep it more understated. A subtle dragon engraving on the blade, perhaps.
Oh, I like that. Symbolizing the Shogun's power.
Exactly. And maybe a touch of gold inlay near the guard. Just a hint of luxury.
Now you're talking. It's not just a weapon, it's a work of art.
Exactly. And remember, the resources you choose say something about your style as a swordsmith.
Ah, so it's all connected.
It is. Choosing steel and Stingray leather shows you value practicality and durability.
And using lacquer and embellishments means you care about prestige and looks.
Right. Every choice tells a story.
I love that. This has been an amazing journey into Shogun no Katana and katana making in general.
It's fascinating how a board game can teach us so much about history.
It really is. For our listeners out there, if you want to dive deeper, there's a whole world of information waiting.
You can research katana forging, visit museums with samurai artifacts, or even try Shogun no Katana yourself.
Great ideas. You might be surprised at what you discover. Until next time, keep exploring and keep those minds sharp.
It really does highlight how even a game can be a springboard to learning something new.
For sure. And speaking of learning, there was something in the rulebook that kind of surprised me.
Oh, what was that?
It said that paying for swords up front, like we do in the game, wasn't actually common in feudal Japan?
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely streamlined in the game.
Yeah, it makes sense for gameplay, I guess. But in reality, it was more about patronage.
Yeah, exactly. Swordsmiths would often have relationships with powerful lords who'd commission specific pieces.
So it wasn't just a transaction, it was more like a partnership built on trust.
Precisely. The swordsmith's reputation was everything.
I see. So the game, while it captures the essence of katana making, also takes some creative liberties.
Right. It's a reminder that there's always more to the story.
Always. Okay, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a master swordsmith in feudal Japan.
Okay, I'm game.
What kind of katana would you create for the shogun? And what resources would you use?
That's a good question. Let's see. I think I'd aim for a balance of strength and beauty.
I like it. Go on.
So, obviously steel for the blade itself. Got to have a strong foundation.
Of course, can't skimp on that.
Right. But for the grip, I'm thinking Stingray leather.
Ooh, interesting choice. Tell me more.
It's surprisingly durable, and it has a unique texture that would provide a really good grip.
So it's practical A&D stylish. What about decoration? Would you go all out with the lacquer?
I think I'd keep it subtle. Maybe a delicate engraving of a dragon along the spine of the blade.
Ooh, I like that. Symbolizing the shogun's power.
Exactly. And perhaps a touch of gold inlay near the guard. Just a hint of luxury.
Now you're talking. A sword fit for a ruler.
It's all about those little details, right?
They make all the difference. And as we learned, the resources you choose aren't just about looks.
Right. They reflect your values as a swordsmith. Choosing steel and Stingray leather shows you prioritize strength and practicality.
And adding lacquer or embellishments suggests you value prestige and artistry.
Exactly. Every choice tells a story.
This has been an incredible deep dive into Shogun no Katana and the art of katana making.
It really shows how a game can spark so much curiosity about history and culture.
Absolutely. For our listeners who are eager to learn more, there's a whole world out there to explore.
You can research the history of katana forging, visit museums with samurai artifacts, or even get your hands on Shogun no Katana yourself.
Great suggestions. You might just discover a new passion. Until next time, deep divers, keep exploring and keep those minds sharp.